Hello and welcome to episode 46 of the Barndoor restoration. Last episode I was building parts for this front floor. Actually the last two episodes I've been building parts. So this episode, it's installed, mostly. I discussed the panels in previous episodes, so I'm just going to discuss how this all goes in. Now the panels have lap joints, and they're spot welded along those joints. And then the whole panel is put in as one into place. And then it's spot welded along the top, this front valance. And it gets spot welded along the wheel wells. So the wheel well goes down past the floor, and the back of these floor panels have a lip going down. So they weld along the bottom. There's also spot welds on the floor support. Because floor support goes in here. They spot welded along the stretch. Now they only come out on this front panel a little ways, and I can see how it was spot welded on this one. And I've seen photos that only show a few spot welds here. Probably because they couldn't get in. They probably did it from this hole. They couldn't get in past that. So that's it for the spot welds. Now they welded to the frame rails under here. And here's my original frame rail that sets in here. And it has two gobs of weld up to the floor. And this is the frame rail from the other side, and it has two gobs of weld. Also these floor supports, this one sits under here. It had two spots of weld there. And on this one here has two spots where they welded it. So that would have been welded from in between up both sides. And in this rear panel, so this is the piece that come off of this cover as the lip comes out. Now I can see by this one there was no spot welds in here, and that would have been in this little section right here. But as we get over on this side, I can see there's a chunk of weld stuck on there. There's not much left, but I can see one spot of weld, and that would have lined up right there. So my assumption is that they had like probably 2 or 3 spots of weld there, or gobs of weld that they put in. And because it would have been hard to get a spot welder with arms that long to get in there to spot weld that. Also where the park brake lever bracket is, these had a continuous weld along both sides where the bracket comes up, and also straight across the front. And the heater duct. By looking at the old elbow off of this, there was 2 gobs of weld at the back side and 2 at the front side. Looking through old photos of other buses, they weren't all like that. They were sort of random. And this removable panel bolts, so it actually has a few bolts that go down into the frame here, and then bolts to this panel and then to the cover there. The last episode I had these parts mostly finished, and so this episode I just need to go over them a bit, tidy them up, a little bit of hammer dolly work, a little bit of filing and sanding to get them correct. Then I media blast them, put some zinc on them. Now to install them, well, first I should talk about the floor supports. I put the floor supports in first. So I lined them up, clamped them, and these set in. It's 80 millimeters on the inside between them, so I was able to set them in, make sure that was all correct. And then the short one on the passenger side, the lip gets welded to the frame on the end, and it gets spot welded to the vertical panel that's in the back. And the driver's side one gets spot welded to the vertical panel, and also the bottom lip gets welded to the pedal beam that goes across. So it gets probably a 20 millimeter long weld there. That's what this one originally had. And in this front, spot welds through the valance. So I got those welded in first. And then I set my floor pieces in. And I'm using the old pedal cover because I want to ensure this is exact, is correct. So I got everything in place, clamped everything, checked it, double checked it, to make sure it was exactly where I wanted it. And then I marked the alignment with masking tape. So I just went across these joints in a few spots so that I get the alignment exact when I had it out. I also put some marks and measure the distance of these so I can make sure the lap was correct. And also a measurement across this section to ensure that was exact. So once they were marked, I took them and started spot welding together. Clamped them and spot welded them. I had to put my extensions on the spot welder to do a few spots here. Once spot welded, wire wheeled and some more zinc on it. And also I went through, before I put it in here, went through the frame, made sure there was no bare metal anywhere in here where the zinc was scraped off or anything. So I just tidied that up a bit more. And then I took the panel and set it in place. It's a little bit tricky to get this elbow up through the floor and the floor in and everything in line, but it wasn't too bad. I put the bolts back in. They go into the frame and into the this cover panel. And then started clamping things in and making sure everything was aligned right again. So then just spot weld across the front. And I actually didn't go any further than that. So these are spot welded across here from underneath, which is, the spot welder is awkward. It's heavy, and there wasn't quite enough clearance between here and the cross beam of my frame jig. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the rotisserie quite soon, and I'll do those at that time. Now this side worked out perfect. This side, this fender, I had it too long right here. So it's crack length here, crack there, but this was too long, so it kind of went down a bit. And by doing that, I had where it goes flat and then tips, was a little low there. Now it probably wouldn't show, especially with seam sealer, although I'm not sure if these have seam sealer here or not. I have to check that. But I want to fix it anyway. So once on the rotisserie, I can easily, with a little hammer dolly work, smooth that back where it's supposed to be. And then I can spot weld it and trim it. I also have a lot of welding from underneath to the frames, to these supports, and to the back. So I'll do all that on the rotisserie. I do have to weld this heater duct and the park brake lever. I installed this last night, so I didn't weld them because it was getting late, and I don't like to weld and leave the shop, so I like to weld and then stick around for a bit. So I'll do this some other time. I did start the new pedal panel to go in there, so still a bit more work on it, but I'll get that finished up. Now it's welded in place, I can take this one out and add the spot welds into the support, and then I can fit this one in. Well, that about covers everything for this episode. I uploaded the drawings for these panels to GrabCAD. I should mention there's a lot of little details that changed, just small little things, like sometimes where these ribs lengths of them changed a little bit, and the radius on where the shifter goes. In fact, most of them have a lot bigger radius than this one. This is the original piece, it's back there, and I matched the radius on this part. Most of the photos I've seen have much bigger radiuses. It's just a lot of little details, and the really early ones have a different layout for this removable panel. It's quite different. Next episode, I'm going to get started on the B pillar, I believe. So 3 pieces needs to come apart, be cleaned up, all rebuilt. And I also need to get the bottom of this finished. So there's a lot of little welds and things to finish off on the bottom, which means I need to get the rotisserie built. So I'm going to build a rotisserie. So I'll probably try and get that done in the next few weeks also. So it's a new year. It's also 2 years since my first episode. So I should kind of go over where I'm at, where I'm going. So I'm a little bit behind where I originally expected I'd be 2 years in. But I'm very happy with how everything is coming along. And I'm enjoying it a lot. Learning a lot, experimenting, building stuff. I really enjoy that. So I'm not unhappy that I'm behind. So I think I originally said it's going to be 3 years to get paint. And it's probably going to be close to 4 now. Because 2 years in, I figure I'm not going to get the upper body done this year. So it's going to be 2 more years. So my plans for this year is to get the upper body framed, some of the panels done. So it's basically a structure, so it looks like a bus again. Well, up to this point, I've been building a lot of new parts. and I really enjoy that. But now I'm going to be switching over to repairing parts. A lot of the upper body, it's bad, but a lot of it's repairable. So like the pillars and stuff, it's just sections of them will need to be cut out and replaced. So I'll be building repair parts, but I'll be restoring the original piece. So I'm really looking forward to start getting this upper structure start taking shape. Last year I set a goal to get a video every 2 weeks, and I managed to do that, but barely. There's quite a few episodes that I didn't think I was going to get enough accomplished to get an episode out in time, but I managed to do it. I'm going to try and do the same thing this year. It's nice to keep on that 2-week schedule. So I've probably gone on long enough. Keep watching for some video of the work being done and some video of the details. And thanks for the comments, appreciate them, and thanks for watching.